All right, Gregory, we are back for our third and final segment. You tell me why the Pats are still the favorites in the AFC.
Chris, why? Why do we do this every year? Why? Chris, the first episode of the pod, some
You picked the topic.
45,
You picked the topic.
45 episodes ago. I know. No. That's my point. 45 episodes ago or so, the Patriots lost an opener or something or a second week game and were flat out embarrassed by like the Dolphins.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something crazy.
Brady looked terrible.
Of course. And what happened?
He was done, as I remember.
They won the Super Bowl. He didn't retire. He's back now. The historically good Patriots defense this year failed against a very, very, very potentially league MVP good Lamar Jackson on Sunday night. I mean, it's honestly like the least shocking result in the world if you watch the NFL. The Patriots defense had not played any team that was really worth anything outside of the Buffalo Bills, who aren't exactly winning with offense. I mean, they're not some offensive juggernaut that the Patriots stifled. They're a team that wins with defense and wins games like 17-14 every week. To me, the people that immediately jumped on the Patriots, and then I have to listen to national pundits talk about, the Patriots are dead. They're dead.
Gone.
Dead and buried. Dead and buried. Go ahead, count them out. We're done. And it's just like, guys, come on. Why do we fall for this every year? We fall for this every single year. We know where the Patriots will be. We know exactly where they're going to be at the end of the year, and it's going to be playing for the AFC championship, whether it's on the road or at home. It being a guarantee at home got a little bit harder Sunday night when they lost to Lamar Jackson and those Baltimore Ravens. But let's be honest, they're going to get a bye. They're going to win one game, and then they're in the AFC championship. It's just, and especially with how weak the bottom half of the AFC is. I mean, you talk about really a three-team race for that number one seed, and with Mahomes' injury and the Chiefs' struggles, I don't think they're really in there for the top two anymore. They're probably going to have to play on the first weekend. You're talking about just the Texans or the Jaguars or the Titans, who always seem to be the three teams in the AFC South. Obviously, the Colts are much better this year than in the past few years, but they're also dealing with a QB injury along with a retirement. It's, to me, and the wild card race is just a complete abomination. Somehow the Steelers, who have played third-string quarterbacks this year, are still somehow alive. Those Super Bowl favorite Browns might turn it around, maybe. I mean, it's just a nightmare out there. The Bills are probably a lock for that 5 seed just based on how everybody else looks, but that number 6 seed is going to come down to the absolute wire. And the Patriots are just going to win. They just are, because that's the way life is.
Well, Gregory, look, I'm not sure if you knew this or not, but they lost to the Ravens this past weekend. So the Ravens are better than them, and Lamar Jackson is superior to Tom Brady. It's how it is. It's what happened. We can't change the past. You shouldn't try to rewrite it. These next 4 games are going to be difficult for New England. Maybe difficult's the wrong word, but telling, at least for New England. You go to Philadelphia, you have Dallas at home, you go to Houston, and you have what should be a Patrick Mahomes-led Chiefs team coming to Foxborough. After that, it's Bengals, Bills, Dolphins, and a quick trip into a bye in the first round of the playoffs. But I don't know, these next 2 games, it feels like there might be 2 losses in there.
I mean, the game against the Eagles is a win. It's a win. It's a
for
win.
the
it's
Eagles.
A win. It's a win. No.
Jordan Matthews is back now, though.
Oh, Joe, is he? Great.
He's back.
Great. I'm
Season
super happy.
saved.
The Eagles team is just, and I don't want to turn this in, I'm going to turn it into Eagles chat.
Yeah.
Probably because of this. But,
yeah.
One, we have a payback factor. Doug and his staff beat Belichick and his staff and Brady. So that animosity is still going to be there, the revenge factor. 2, this Eagles team is not very good. They're just not.
Again, Jordan Matthews, Greg. Jordan Matthews is back.
saw-
Jordan Matthews, by the way, the series prediction, going to lead all receivers for the Eagles in catches over the last part of the season.
1,000%. 1,000% going to be the case because him and Carson's rapport is unbelievable.
And he was a street free agent. Yeah.
Yeah, the front office is maddening for the Eagles, but to get back to them versus the Patriots, the Eagles' offense is just mystifyingly bad.
Jordan Matthews is there now. It's fixed.
They show
You
such
keep forgetting.
flashes of. I do. They show such flashes of brilliance, and in certain drives and certain things, and I just don't get it. I don't get what happens. The second half of that Bears game was excruciatingly painful. You were just waiting for a completely inept Bears offense with Mitch Trubisky under center, and a powerhouse running back in a guy like Montgomery who they just like refuse to use in most situations.
Yeah.
A flashy player like Tariq Cohen, who's great if you get the ball in his hands out of the backfield, and they just refuse to do it. And they still had the opportunity to potentially come all the way back from a pretty big deficit. It's the defense. The defense leaves so much to be desired. Schwartz's defensive schemes are just unbelievably poor. I mean, we've gotten better play up front over the past few games, but the problem is going to be in the passing game. And if Brady's even 75% of what his potential is, I think that it's going to be a bad day to be an Eagles corner.
Well, once again, Jordan Matthews is here. Season is saved. And by the way, Howie Roseman is so good that he pulled off a trade after the trade deadline was over. Andrew Sendejo goes to the Minnesota Vikings, and the Eagles get Vikings safety Marcus Epps and a 4th round pick, effectively. So that's how good Howie is.
Yeah, it's great. Way to address all the problems that we have.
No, can I tell you, I was genuinely excited about Andrew Sendejo getting cut.
Of course, as we all should be. What, you were happy with the guy who was an automatic 15-yard penalty at least once a game, not being on the Eagles anymore?
Well,
yeah,
I don't even care about that. I don't even care about that. And first of all, like the Marcus Epps things is a little weird. I probably would have looked to call Eric Berry, which you used the word befuddling. It's befuddling to me that Eric Berry is not on a National Football League roster right now, but I would have called Eric Berry, maybe Derek Kindred, somebody like that, over Marcus Epps. I assumed it was a foregone conclusion Corey Graham would be back, because he's the Jordan Matthews of the defense, where they just kind of call him every year when things go downhill. Yeah, look, it's going to be a tough matchup.
What about that guy that Cleveland cut? The guy who attacked everybody on
Tremaine Whitehead.
Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what you want to bring into the locker room right now, but given the lack of young talent on this Eagles team, adding a 4th round pick is the right move. Right now they have a 1, a 2, 2 3s, and 3 4s. So, I'm a big advocate of the draft as a giant crapshoot. It's certainly better than it was a decade ago when it was literally just the Wild West. You could, the 3rd pick could be as good as the 5th, like your 5th round pick in any given draft. It's better than it was, but we're still not to a point where, I feel comfortable with it. And more darts to throw at the dartboard are better than fewer.
What's the last 3rd to 7th round pick that Howie Roseman's hit?
Avonte Maddox.
Okay, what's the last 3rd to 7th round pick that Howie Roseman's hit?
I think Avonte Maddox is a good NFL player.
Okay, so I mean, I'm gonna allow you to have your opinion.
Thank you.
I'm going to grant you that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I am not impressed with Avonte Maddox, and maybe I'm living off of last year and where he struggled, and I'll never give him credit for anything ever until, I don't know, something important happens.
You're a good fan.
I am, Chris. I live to hold grudges. I think there's that. I also find favorites and latch onto them. Currently, my favorite Philadelphia Philly, active Philadelphia Philly, is Chase Utley. He hasn't played for the team in close to a decade, but still my favorite player.
I'm looking at this right now, and I would argue that they've actually had relatively good success in the mid rounds. You get Maddox in the 4th round in 2018. You also get Josh Sweat in the 4th round, who's turning into a
Sweat's been good,
decent little pass rusher. Going back the year before that, they had starting linebacker Nathan Geary. I can't even say that seriously. He's terrible. Maybe the worst linebacker in football. But he is starting. In 2016, you get Wendell Smallwood and Halapalati Vaitai in the 5th round. Vaitai, a very good 5th round pick. You also get Jalen Mills in the 7th round. You can't argue that Jalen Mills provided plenty of value for a 7th-round pick. Before that, it was tough. But it was also Chip before that, so we can't blame him.
Yeah. How is value measured with Jalen Mills? Is it how many times he gets burnt and then makes the one play where he can wag his finger?
For me, it's finger wags. All
right, that's what I figured. I will never be able to get over. I don't care. Jalen Mills could be an All-Pro, and I would still be the guy that complained about the first 2 years of his career where he would get burned play after play, and then he'd break up a pass on a meaningless second down by 40 and wag that finger up in the air. And it's just read the room. Read the room for what's going on here. I don't know. Well, I mean, Mills, I unfairly judge him, and Avonte Maddox probably falls in that same category for me, where I just sort of latch on to those early performances where he wasn't as impressive. But he certainly provided a lot to the defense as we've gone on, and having him back definitely helps.
If you want to knock Howie for something, and that's totally fair, the thing that I would probably knock him for is inexplicably waiting until the 4th round in 2017 to go after a running back when running back was one of the clear weaknesses on this team, and we had a historically good running back class. They wait all the way to pick 132 to get Donnell Pumphrey, and even then, you have guys like Wayne Gallman, Marlon Mack, and Chris Carson who go after him, but and a couple of strong undrafted free agents as well. But the list of players who went before that pick 132 in the 4th round.
It's an unbelievable list.
It's ridiculous. I mean, you talked about Tariq Cohen, but Samaj Perine. You also have James Conner. You have Devontae Foreman. You have Kareem Hunt. You have Alvin Kamara, you have Joe Mixon, you have Dalvin Cook, you have Christian McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette. Unbelievable.
I don't think I'll ever forgive Howie for not taking Dalvin Cook.
Well, they loved. Okay, I will say that they did reportedly love Dalvin Cook, and that was known pretty well before the draft. But Minnesota, if you remember, jumped up 241 to get Cook, presumably in front of the Eagles, who sat at 43 and took Sidney Jones, who he got sat last week in favor of a street free agent. Now, they did miss on some guys who went right after that for sure, but I don't know. I do think that they would have taken Dalvin Cook if he was there at 43. The problem is they didn't do anything after that. You wait and you wait and you wait instead of going after a Joe Mixon who admittedly had some character concerns coming out of school, or an Alvin Kamara who had, he was a workload issue guy, didn't have a big sample size in college, and also there was some off the field stuff. You let those guys go, and instead, and Kareem Hunt, by all he did was set the NFL record for most total yards in a game by an offensive player in his first game. They wait and they take Donnell Pumphrey.
He was the next Darren Sproles, Chris.
Not even the best running back on his roster at that point, because Rashad Penny would be a first-round pick a year later and bust, admittedly, to this point to the Seahawks.
Yeah, Penny kind of has a tough go.
Yeah,
on the fact
because Chris Carson was drafted in the 7th round in that Donnell Pumphrey draft.
Yeah, but Carson's obviously established himself in Seattle as the much better option.
I agree. That's what I'm saying is that there was still plenty of running back talent on the board. It was just not identified. And do you have a concern that Howie gets a lot of credit for his contracts, and justifiably so? He's very good in terms of contracts and cap management. But his pro and amateur scouting has left a lot to be desired.
Yes. 1,000% yes. I think that he gets a ton of praise for the way he deals with, the actual current players, but our scouting just stinks. That's the reason why I bring up who are these guys that he's hitting on, because it's just not it never seems to work out. It never seems to work out. We constantly miss. I mean, the first-round picks we've usually been pretty good on. I get that. But as you keep digging deeper and deeper into this and seeing guys who we're missing out on, and I'm not talking, we took this guy in the 3rd round, but this guy went in the 7th round. I'm talking about guys that go right around people we pick. We did it a couple weeks ago with the Arcega-Whiteside thing and the receivers that were drafted around him. It's nearly impossible to be this bad. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't know how we can continue to do this.
I mean, obviously anybody can play the if we'd only picked game, but how about in that 2017 draft, how different would things be if, say, we went Marlon Humphrey in the 1st round instead of Derek Barnett, and you went, say, Juju Smith-Schuster in the 2nd round instead of Sidney Jones, and you went, say, Chris Godwin in the 3rd round instead of Russell Douglas, or even James Conner. You think the team's a little bit different at this point?
Tiny bit, just a tiny bit. I don't know. It's always a hard game to play, but I don't know. It's just frustrating watching this team week in and week out underperform.
Well, I get confused, and we're going to get off the Eagles in a second, but I always get confused by teams that don't identify talent on a college team when they're clearly scouting that team a ton. And there's a really big instance of that in Philadelphia right now. They spent the year fascinated with Andre Dillard, just fascinated, and paid no attention to their quarterback who went after we selected Clayton Thorson in the 4th round.
It's just Clayton Thorson.
Think you would feel a little bit better having Gardner? I think Gardner Minshew is a little bit overrated and maybe even a lot overrated, but unquestionably he's an NFL-level quarterback, and Clayton Thorson is not that. Not even a tiny bit.
Not even a tiny bit.
How do you not see that when you're watching all this film? That's my question.
I don't know. I don't know how you are unable to sort of figure that out and realize that this is not the guy. No. Like, you look at a guy like Thorson. He played at Northwestern. Northwestern was never good. I know college success doesn't always mean NFL success, but it's just infuriating.
He's no Mike Kafka. He's no Mike Kafka. It's just
Andy Reid, baby.
All right. Bovada Super Bowl odds.
Mike Kafka.
Yeah, right.
I haven't even thought of that name. I think he's on Andy Reid's staff.
Yeah, Northwestern product. The Super Bowl odds over at Bovada right now. New England plus 250, Saints plus 5, 49ers plus 650, Chiefs 850, Ravens 900, Packers 1200. Where's your money going?
Ooh, man. I'd have to say the Ravens. The Ravens were so impressive. This will, of course, come back to bite me.
It already has.
Packers, yeah.
You lost. You've lost this segment by picking the Ravens. It's over.
No.
Yes.
No. I said that the Patriots will be playing in the AFC title game. That is different than winning the championship. And they could certainly beat the Ravens there, which I think is probably the case.
Agree to disagree. I remain undefeated. That's been You're Wrong, and here's why. Thank you for listening. For Greg Cone, I'm Chris Horwedel. We'll see you next week.